himself, pierce his body with metal implements. He came back to this area and he encountered 4 of his previous classmates and 1 of his previous teachers. And when he encounters them, they start laughing at him and joking him and mocking him, thinking that he had given up on the path to enlightenment because looked healthy, he looked bright, he looked vibrant, he had meat on his bones. And to them, in order to get to enlightenment, you needed to be starving yourself. So when they saw him coming towards them with this meat on their bones, very bright and vibrant, they started laughing at him and joking him and mocking him. But by the time you get to enlightenment, those things don't affect you. That your mind is completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. You no longer experience any discontent feelings. You will have eliminated all your anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. This has all been eliminated from the mind through training of the mind. You'll notice that the mind's focused, it has concentration, clarity, and deep memory, because the pollutions that cause those things to not be true have been uprooted and eliminated out of the mind. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are all harmonious, that you're not having bitterness and harshness and hostility in your life and in your mind any longer, so you can get along with all people around you. Now, other people might not be able to get along with you, but you're able to get along with all of the people around you. You'll notice that you don't even have a bad mood anymore. That is physically impossible for you to have a bad mood. So it's this location where Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, came to this spot, and when he was being joked and laughed and mocked at, he came and he sat down and he took his hand and he touched the earth and he performed the one and only miracle that he ever performed, where animals came to where he was at. And it got the attention of these first 5 students, and they sat down and they started listening to what it is that he had to share. And he shared what's called the Four Noble Truths. This is the very first teaching that's going to help you to be able to understand the path to enlightenment. It's going to help you understand the problem in your mind, the cause of the problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. In 4 simple statements that you can independently verify, you'll be able to have a breakthrough to understand why you experience things like anger, sadness, frustration, stress, anxiety, guilt, shame, fear, all these different feelings, loneliness, boredom, jealousy. It's all being caused by the same thing. But in order to understand the Four Noble Truths, you need to first understand the 3 universal truths. Now, we refer to these as truths because the Buddha knew that they were true. I know that they're true, and other people know that they're true, but you need to know that they're true. And that's why you don't believe any of the teachings of the Buddha. You need to be able to independently verify them for yourself, so that way you can cultivate wisdom. The Buddha's not teaching you the way the world should be. He's teaching you the way the world is. And by understanding the way the world is, now you can train your mind to be able to eradicate the pollutions and get to the point where your mind's completely peaceful and joyful. So the first universal truth is the universal truth of impermanence, where the Buddha helps you to be able to understand everything in the world around you is constantly changing. This is a fundamental teaching that you need to be able to independently verify, that everything around you is going to arise, change, and fade away. These are called conditioned objects, that anything you see, hear, smell, taste, anything that comes in contact with the body, or any thoughts or ideas that go through the mind, it's all constantly changing. This is really important. It's a fundamental building block to help you understand the Four Noble Truths. And you can look around the world and see that for yourself, because guess what? We don't have mats anymore to sit on. They are impermanent. We used to have mats to sit on all through this trip, and now we see that we don't have mats anymore, right? You can see that this physical body is constantly changing, that we started out as an egg and a sperm, and then we kept growing and growing and growing, where our hair changes, our height changes, our skin complexion changes, our teeth change, everything's constantly changing. The weather's changing, right? Our relationships are constantly changing. This is the impermanent nature of the world, that things are constantly changing. The second universal truth is the universal truth of discontentedness. If you studied the teachings of the Buddha in other places, you might have heard him referred to as using the word suffering. This word suffering isn't the best word to use in relationship to the teachings of the Buddha, because the word suffering doesn't fully capture what the Buddha was teaching on this important topic. In the original Pali Canon, the word dukkha is being used. And the word dukkha translates to discontent, discontented, or discontentedness. What the Buddha is talking about is conditioned feelings, that there's 3 feelings that the unenlightened mind is going to experience. Conditioned pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant. The pleasant feelings are things like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. These are conditioned feelings that based on some condition, you will experience that pleasantness. So if it's sunny outside, you might get so happy and excited, right? Or if you get a raise at work, you might get so happy and excited. This is conditioned pleasant feelings. Based on the condition, the mind's experiencing a certain feeling like pleasantness. But then there's painful feelings as well. This is the things like sadness, anger, frustration, agitation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. These are very painful for the mind to experience in the unenlightened state because the mind is experiencing this based on some condition. Then there's feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant. Shyness is a good example of this. It's not painful, it's not pleasant, it's neither painful nor pleasant. Or say you were sitting on public transportation and somebody came and sat really, really close to you that you didn't know. If your body's touching their body and you feel uncomfortable in that situation, that's the neither painful nor pleasant feeling. That it's not painful, it's not pleasant, it's just kind of like, you're just a little bit dissatisfied. Okay, so these are the three feelings that the mind experiences in the unenlightened state. Pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. And you can independently verify this because remember, the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. He didn't teach rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, prayer. He didn't teach you to believe things. He's teaching you to cultivate wisdom about the world around you. And you need to be able to understand the unenlightened mind in order to transform it to get to this enlightened mental state. So you know that your mind is unenlightened. Is this what you experience? Pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. Are there any feelings that you experience that doesn't fit into one of those three categories? That's how you can independently verify this. Then there's the third universal truth. This is the universal truth of non-self. This is actually helping you to eradicate one of the pollutions that the Buddha discovered in the mind. There's 10 individual pollutions that the Buddha discovered. This is called the 10 fetters, or some people call them the taints or the defilements. This is what you're working to uproot out of your mind in order to experience the enlightened mental state. The very first fetter is called personal existence view. This is where the mind clings to this body or this mind, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way, and you can only be happy if you're being perceived that way. So, for example, if you've ever looked in the mirror and you saw a wrinkle or a pimple or a mole or gray hair, you started losing your hair, and you were shaken up by that, that's personal existence view. Your mind's wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way, and you can only be happy when you're being perceived that way. Or perhaps you spilled something on your clothing and you were embarrassed in this social situation. This is your personal existence view, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. So as long as there's this clinging to this self-image, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way, you can only feel comfortable when that's the case. So for example, when I was a little kid and I was going to school, as a teenager, I used to get out gel and mousse, and I used to run it through my hair and try to get every little hair in exactly the right spot before I could go out to school. And sometimes I would do this for so long I'd miss the bus, right? And this was the results of my decisions. So I didn't feel comfortable going outside until every little hair was in the right spot. That's your mind wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way, clinging to this body, this self-image, thinking that this is who you are. Then there's the self-identity, which is based in like your culture, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your job or occupation. You might be clinging to an identity in your mind of who you think you are as a person. Maybe I am Indian, or I am Nepalese, right? Or I am Australian, or I am any number of things. You can cling to your culture, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your job or occupation, thinking that this is who you are. And you can only feel comfortable in that situation where your identity is intact. So this is universal truth of non-self, is helping you to eliminate this pollution of personal existence view, where you're clinging to your self-image or your self-identity, thinking that this is who you are. So the universal truth of non-self is helping you to understand that this body is not you. This mind is not you. It is not who you are as a person. But your mind will cling to this. You will have a label like I am Buddhist, right? The Buddha was not Buddhist. The Buddha figured out how to get to enlightenment, but he didn't have that label of I am Buddhist. Because if you hear people say, all Buddhists are lovely and kind and warm and gentle, oh, you'll be so happy because I am Buddhist. But if you hear people say, all Buddhists are going to hell and they're so horrible, now you'll feel angry and frustrated because you think they're talking about you. So the Buddha teaches you the universal truth of non-self to eradicate that, where you're not clinging to this image, this self-image or self-identity of who you think you are as a person. So once you understand the three universal truths of impermanence, discontentedness, and non-self, now you need to understand what is a craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. Then we can talk about the Four Noble Truths, which is what the Buddha taught here as his very first teaching. What a craving, desire, attachment is where the mind is longing, yearning, chasing after the objects of your affection, wanting things to be a certain way, expecting things to be a certain way. The mind thinks that the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some lasting satisfaction. So the mind chases it and chases it and chases it and chases it. It's almost like an unquenchable thirst that the mind has. So if you've ever been in the mall and you saw a brand new pair of shoes and you were like, oh, brand new pair of shoes. Yes, 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 I want that so bad. And now your mind chases after it. In the mind, if you go into the shoe store and they have your size, you're so happy and excited. But if they don't have your size, you're frustrated and angry and irritated. That's the craving, desire, attachment. That's the longing, yearning, trying to form your inner feelings based on something external. So a craving, desire, attachment isn't the object itself. It's the way the mind longs and yearns for the object. And as long as you allow your mind to do that, you'll continue to experience discontentedness, where the mind gets happy in certain situations, but then it gets sad and angry and frustrated in other situations. So you need to be able to understand this craving, desire, attachment is where the mind's longing, yearning for things. The mind thinks, what do I need to be happy here? Oh, more money. That's what'll fix everything. Let me get some more money. So the mind will chase that for a while. And if it gets it, it's happy. And if it doesn't get it, it's angry or frustrated. Or the mind thinks, what do I need to be happy? Oh, a new boyfriend or new girlfriend. That'll fix everything. Let me get one of those. Or you might think, let me go to India. Let me go see the sites of the Buddha. That'll make everything better. Let me just go see those sites and then everything will be better. So this is the mind craving, desiring, and being attached. Okay, so it's not the object itself, it's the way that the mind's longing, yearning for something, and then forming its feelings based on whether it gets it or not. So once we have this understanding of what the universal truths are and what craving, desire, attachment is, now we can understand the Four Noble Truths, where you can have a breakthrough to understanding what it is that's truly causing these feelings and how to fix it. Because getting to enlightenment is to have all peace and joy in the mind, no longer experience any anger and sadness and frustration. But you need to understand what's causing it in order to understand how to eliminate it. So the first noble truth is that everyone that is unenlightened will experience discontentedness, those conditioned feelings of conditioned pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant. So the mind gets happy and excited, but then it's sad and frustrated and irritated or annoyed. But then it feels shy and embarrassed and disappointed. And then it's excited again. And then it's sad and frustrated. The mind's going up and down and up and down. This is the problem that the Buddha discovered in the unenlightened mind, that it can't be steady and stable. It can't be unshakable. It's not calm and peaceful. That's the problem that the Buddha discovered, that the mind's going up and down and up and down. The cause of that problem is in the second noble truth. The second noble truth explains that discontentedness is caused by craving, desire, attachment, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world around you is impermanent. So as long as the mind's craving permanence while you live in an impermanent world, you will not be able to get to peace and joy as long as you allow your mind to keep having craving, desire, attachment. So let me give you a few examples, but then I'm going to invite you to relate this to your own life so that you can see the truth. Because remember, the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. You need to independently verify them for yourself. So, for example, think about a boyfriend or girlfriend that you might have gotten together with. When you guys first got together, you might have been so happy or excited about that. You're getting all these pleasant feelings based on the condition that this craving was getting fulfilled. But then when you guys broke up, you might have experienced anger, sadness, or frustration, or maybe you were lonely or bored or missing this person. This is not because of your love. Love doesn't cause painful feelings. It's the mind's craving for permanence. that as long as this person's in your life, the mind's getting what it wants. But when the mind experiences this impermanence where the relationship is over, now the mind's not getting what it wants, so it experiences the painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, or others. Or say you got a brand new car and you bought this brand new car and you were so happy with this brand new car. And now you drive it off the parking lot, you go to a store, you go inside and you come out and there's a scratch on your car. If you come out and you're frustrated or angry about that, it's not the scratch that's causing it, and it's not the person who scratched your car. It's the mind craving permanence. The mind wants this car to look permanently beautiful, when in reality, this car is not permanent. You live in an impermanent world. Now, we're not talking about what's wise or unwise, because obviously when we walk through a parking lot, we aspire not to scratch anybody's car. But the fact is that this car is impermanent. The paint's going to fade, the tires are going to need to be changed, the upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. If you have a craving for this car to be permanent, when you're experiencing impermanence, the mind doesn't like that. And that's why it experiences the anger and the frustration and all these other discontent feelings. So I could give you example after example after example, but I would like to invite you to investigate this for yourself, because that's what the Buddhist teachings are all about. It's not about believing anybody. It's not about rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer. The Buddha never taught any of those kinds of things. That's what people are doing today based on their misunderstandings of his teachings. Instead, you need to get to wisdom. And in order to get to wisdom, you need to learn, investigate, and examine his teachings. You then reflect on them to independently verify if they're true or false. And then you practice his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life. And that's what's going to produce the enlightened mental state. So take a recent situation where you've been angry or frustrated or irritated or annoyed or some other discontent feeling. It could have been this morning or yesterday or last week. What was it that your mind was longing, yearning for? What permanence were you craving? If you would have got this thing, you would have been so happy. But because you didn't get it, your mind experienced anger, sadness, frustration, or others. If you're having trouble seeing this, let me know, because I will help you. There's been plenty of students over the years that have difficulty seeing it. And when I walked in, I got frustrated. I wasn't even there. How did my mind cause this frustration? Didn't she cause me to be frustrated? She's the one who messed up the house. Well, the answer is no. You caused your own mind to be frustrated and angry because you were craving permanence. You were expecting this house to look exactly the same when you came home than when you went to work. And all you did is experienced impermanence, that your wife had this craft project all over the house, that you're not going to be able to experience permanence because you live in an impermanent world. So this person needed to understand this, that their house is not permanent. It's not going to look any particular way permanently. So you need to be able to see this for yourself. Because if you can see the second noble truth, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, then the third noble truth is beautiful. Because the third noble truth helps you to understand that you can eliminate your discontentedness by eliminating your craving, desire, attachment. If your mind is causing these feelings and it's craving, desire, attachment that's causing them, then you can eliminate them. Because all you need to do is eliminate your cravings, desires, attachments, the longing, the yearning, the chasing after the objects of your affection, basing your inner feelings on whether you get this thing or not. And what's going to help you to do that is the fourth noble truth. The fourth noble truth explains that the elimination of discontentedness is eliminated through the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is the way leading to the complete elimination of discontentedness. This is 8 individual factors that you can learn based in the original words of the Buddha, not believing what people tell you, not looking at secondary or third or fourth or fifth resources, but going back to the original words of the Buddha to be able to see what did he actually teach on this important topic. You can learn the 8 individual factors, and now you integrate that into your life, and you'll be able to eliminate your longing, yearning, and forming your inner feelings based on this external thing. So these 4 noble truths is what he taught here. He went from Bodh Gaya all the way to here. And it took us, 5-6 hours by bus? So imagine how long it took him to walk here, or however he traveled here, right? So he was so dedicated, and he knew that he had discovered the truth, that he was interested in helping other people to be able to understand that. And that's what he did, is he spent the next 45 years of his life from the age of 35 to 80 sharing his teachings to help people experience this enlightened mental state. He didn't do rites, rituals, ceremonies, and worship and prayer. He didn't tell people to just believe him. Instead, he gave them guidance and helped them to understand the wisdom that it takes to be able to understand your mind and the world around you. Because when you don't understand the world is impermanent and that your mind craves permanence, you'll just keep doing that over and over and over again, and you'll just continue to be frustrated and irritated or annoyed. But if you understand that the unenlightened mind craves permanence while you live in an impermanent world, now you can see the problem. And now you understand the cause of that problem. You understand the elimination of it. And then you can understand the path forward to how to completely eliminate it. And as you're gradually implementing these teachings, you can see the improvement to the condition of your mind in your life. And it all starts with the Four Noble Truths. That's why it's the Buddha's very first teaching. That's why he shared it here. That's why with all new students, whenever new students would come to learn with him, he would share the Four Noble Truths first. That was the first thing that he would teach them. And then after the Four Noble Truths, he would teach them the moral conduct and how to improve their moral conduct. Meditation is very important. You need to meditate. You wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation, but that's not even what the Buddha taught first. Where today a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on meditation. Again, you need meditation. You wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without it. But you need to understand the Four Noble Truths as a very first teaching, and then you need to work on your moral conduct, because as long as you're causing harm through your speech, your actions, and your livelihood, all that harm is just going to keep coming back to you. So you need the wisdom of the Eightfold Path to understand the wisdom section of right view and right intention. Then you need the moral conduct section, which helps you to understand right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Then you need the mental discipline section, which is right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And all of this together is what's going to guide you to this enlightened mental state. And of course, there's other teachings besides that, but the Eightfold Path is a core central teaching that everything else integrates into. And now you can work with that, and now you can gradually implement it in your life and see the improvements to the condition of your mind in your life as well. So any questions that you guys have about the Four Noble Truths or anything else from your practice, you're more than welcome to ask. No questions? I know a lot of you guys, this was a refresher because many of you guys have studied this with me many times, but there's some new people here that haven't really studied this with me before. Yeah, it's good to reinforce it, right? Yeah. So the Four Noble Truths is, the Buddha describes it as a breakthrough, right? That if you can break through the Four Noble Truths, that's where things really open up for you. Because what the unenlightened mind does is it goes around the world believing that it's other people who are causing you to be angry. That's what the mind does. And as long as you keep having that, that's wrong view, to blame other people for the feelings that you experience. And what the mind will typically do when it has wrong view is it'll tend to push people away out of your life. This might be what you've done when you've been angry and frustrated. You push people out of your life. The mind thinks that's the way to solve the problem because it thinks that's the person that's causing you to be angry. This is called aversion. But you can see that this doesn't work because when you push people out of your life, you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. Or the second thing you might do is you might be bitter and harsh and hostile towards people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. Because the mind perceives the problem to be external, and it's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, thinking that that's somehow going to solve your problem, kind of fearing this other person into doing things your way. Or the third thing you'll do is you'll tend to put your expectations on people, trying to control people and force people to do things your way. So people might be doing this to you too. You might have people that are pushing you away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, and putting expectations on you. But it would be very unwise for you to continue to subscribe to that. If you can have a breakthrough to understand that your mind is causing your own discontentedness, then you can also understand that when other people are discontent, their mind is causing it themselves as well. It's not you that's causing that. So now more and more you can skillfully learn how to navigate the world peacefully, where you're not pushing people away, you're not being bitter, harsh, and hostile, and you're not putting your expectations on people. Because as long as you keep doing this, you can't live harmoniously with all beings. It's only a matter of time before you encounter someone who has a different opinion or view than you. It's only a matter of time because of impermanence, that not everybody is going to think the exact same way because of impermanence. So if you can only love people who agree with you, there's only one person in the world that you can love, because there's only one person in the world who does things your way all the time. Do you know who that person is? Yourself. And you might even have trouble loving that person from time to time, right? So you need to be able to separate the choices and decisions that people make from the person themselves. So you can understand your anger is being caused by your own mind, and you can disagree with someone's choices and decisions while still loving the person. And that way you don't need to be bitter and harsh and hostile with people. But you need the Eightfold Path to really help you to fully implement the path that the Buddha taught.
I have a question regarding a loved one, a very close loved one who has put distance from you. And then what is the right balance of still loving them, but not craving their coming back to you? Can you discuss that concept, please?
Yeah, you need to learn how to love them from afar. That if they're choosing to push you away because they have wrong view, now you understand that's where they're at in their current life. And now you just step back. You need to work on eliminating your craving by doing the Eightfold Path, practicing that. In contemplation of death is really helpful for that as well, where you can eliminate your craving and just learn how to have a genuine interest in seeing this person be well. And part of them being well is that they've made the choice to step away. And now maybe they're working on their mind and they're working to eliminate their attachment to you. And now as they choose to do that, now at some point in the future, maybe you guys might be able to come back together. You've eliminated your attachment, they've eliminated their attachment, and you'll actually be able to have a wonderful relationship. As long as there's craving, desire, attachment in a relationship, you won't be able to have a harmonious relationship with that person. It's only a matter of time before there's discontentedness. So you need to learn how to love them from afar. And loving them doesn't mean that you're in their life, telling them what to do, putting expectations on them. It means that you understand that they're responsible for their own wellness and they're making the decisions that are best in their life. And you just respect that they've chosen to step away and that's what they need. And you just be okay with that, eliminating your craving to wanting them to be in your life and understanding they are impermanent in your life.
Thank you for that. So to build on that, on my question, how much reaching out, if any, should one do still showing them love from a distance on like major family holidays or Merry Christmas or so on and so forth?
Yeah, if you would like to do that from time to time, you can do that. There's no harm in that. You're not causing any harm. You just like to have right intention, right speech, right action. But if they're just ignoring your communication and they're not even replying to you, after one or two or three of those, it's best to not even reach out. They've made the decision to push you away. They're not even replying to you. Just let it be. But if they're replying and they're just saying, hey, no, I'm not ready, I'm not interested, maybe another time, then they're still open to your communication. It's just that they're not choosing to step forward. And that's good for your mind to not have craving for them to be in your life. Because now when they say no, not interested, you need to make sure you don't have craving for them to be in your life.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, so I think this is all the questions. Nobody else has anything. So this is officially the end of our time together. Of course, we're going to be going to the airport. We're going to be going back to New Delhi. We're going to be having lunch together and all that kind of stuff. But this is the last talk that I'm going to be giving as part of this tour and retreat that we've been doing. So I'm going to end by just saying thank you to all of you guys. Thank you for your interest to learn and grow and develop on the path to enlightenment. Thank you, Ramesh, for everything you've done, which has been countless things to be able to help orchestrate all of this to go forward. But thank you guys for your interest to learn about the teachings of the Buddha, because as you do so, it's helping you, it's helping those close to you, and it's helping all of humanity. Because as you're becoming a more loving, kind, warm, and gentle individual, it's going to help you because it's helping your mind to become more peaceful and joyful. It's also helping the people around you because they're not having to deal with that disgruntled, nasty, harsh, hostile conduct coming towards them. And it's also helping all of humanity to become a more loving and warm and gentle society. So whenever I'm with students, whether it's for 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 months or 5 years, I'm so appreciative to see that there's people who are actually interested in learning and growing and developing on the path. Because as you guys saw throughout this entire journey, there's plenty of rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer that is happening, which are huge misunderstandings of the teachings of the Buddha. And it's unfortunate that those people haven't yet encountered the true teachings of the Buddha to understand it's about cultivation of wisdom. So just be appreciative that you guys are receiving the true teachings of the Buddha through the translations, through the classes and courses, through your own investigation, and understand that these rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer doesn't lead to improvement in your day-to-day life. But what you guys are doing, it's more challenging up front to cultivate this wisdom, but the life can be very peaceful and very joyful. It's a lot easier to show up and believe something and do a bunch of rituals and stuff, but then life is very difficult afterwards because there's no wisdom that's cultivated. The Buddha always taught to cultivate wisdom. And that's what you guys have been doing. Not only in these talks, but you guys have come to me either one by one or a collection of 3, 4, 5 of you, and we've sat and we've talked in the hotel rooms or in the bus or in the lobby of the hotel or in any number of places. And you guys have been getting the personal guidance that you need in those situations. And then even traveling with the Buddhist teacher and be able to have a Buddhist teacher help you to be able to see exactly when you're putting expectations on people or exactly when your mind is doing one thing or another. I know this work is not hard. I mean, not easy to travel with somebody who's helping you to be able to see your own mind. Your mind's ego won't want to see it, right? But that's what a Buddhist teacher does, who's invested in helping you get to enlightenment, is we're going to help you to be able to see that the things that your mind doesn't see itself. And that's one of the benefits of traveling with a teacher. So if any of you guys have benefited from our time together, wonderful. If you guys haven't benefited from the time together, then maybe you didn't get what you wanted, but you got what you needed, right? So sometimes we come into these experiences wanting and expecting certain things, and we don't get those things, and you're angry and you're frustrated. But perhaps you got what you needed, which is something different than what you were expecting. And now this will help you to eliminate your cravings, desires, attachments. And now that's actually what's helping you. So thank you all for anything you've done to contribute to this. It was beautiful to see all the generosity that you guys shared with each other. It was beautiful to see the kindness and the warmth, the loving kindness that you guys were sharing with each other, the compassion, the fun, the laughing, the smiles. Yes, the dance party too. That was fun to see as well. And apparently you guys had one of those last night too, right? So thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for inviting me here to be able to guide you, because that's what you did by choosing to sign up for this, is you invited me to come here to be able to spend this time with you and help you to be able to learn the teachings of the Buddha. Anytime you guys would like to learn more, you guys know how to get in contact with me. And for those of you guys that don't, you can access our website, buddhadailywisdom.com, and you'll be able to get access to all the resources that I share to be able to help you. So whatever you guys do from this point forward, have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day, rest of your year, rest of your life. And anytime you need help, I'm going to be here to help you, because these teachings that the Buddha shared, he was so dedicated to go from Bodh Gaya to here that I'm also very dedicated to travel around the world and share these teachings anywhere and everywhere, because I know that these teachings absolutely lead exactly where the Buddha said that they do, to this enlightened mental state. And the more that you see that is true, you'll be able to see that too. And you'll have nothing but deep respect and gratitude for this individual who spent 45 years sharing his teachings until his death at the age of 80. So thank you all. Okay? All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Lunchtime? What are we